Hello, welcome to part 2 of our Jin Basics Guide. Reminder that we are on Tekken 7 version 4.03. In this part we're going to talk more about strategy and go over some basic game plan approaches, which will build on the essential moves list we already went over. As always, there's a written version of this guide should you need it. The link is in the video description below. Real short, so let's get going. We should start by noting that Jin has top tier pokes. 2-1 is a commonly spammed string since it's a safe mid-high, so it can't be ducked, and it's a natural combo that starts with a 10-frame jab and has a safe mid-third hit for additional cover. You'll notice that the second hit of 2-1 looks a lot like his I-13 down forward 1, and that's because it is. The main difference is that the down forward 1 string options are a little different. Down forward 1-4 is a natural combo mid-high that can splat, but can be ducked on block. However, down forward 1-4 slide 4 is your unsafe -12 mid check. In fact, lest you think it's easy to duck against Jin, you'll find a lot of these examples throughout his move list where your opponent has to choose to duck, interrupt, or just block normally. 1-2-3 and 1-2-4, 1-3 and 1-3 slide 3, or forward 3 and forward 3 slide 3. Down back 2-2 and down back 2-3, back forward 2-1 and back forward 2-3, CDS 1-2 and CDS 1-3, and so on. He also has tools to catch people trying to guess on a duck or challenge, like back 2-1. All of this is important for two reasons. One, if your opponent stops ducking, then you have access to strong pressure tools like 3-1 forward, which is +4 on block going into CDS. Two, if they're not challenging you at all, then they're giving you your turns back if you simply stop at the first hit of a string. For example, if you mix up 1-2-3 and 1-2-4 well, then you can merely stop at 1-2, take your turn back, and run another mix-up. But pokes are largely designed to control space at range 0 or 1. Where Jin really excels is controlling space at range 2 and 3. It's become a meme at this point, but it all centers around forward 4, a safe, chunky mid-kick that can launch on counter hit. The pushback also resets you enough that the -8 on block is not that big of a deal. Additionally, you can go to CDS, in which case it's only -1, and serves as a way to get in since the CDS transition moves you forward. Whether you do the CDS transition is largely a playstyle choice. If you watch top players, it's typically 50-50, which is probably the wisest approach. Just remember that you have plenty of options to counter any kind of challenge they do to the CDS, even at -1. There's really not a lot of complexity to this. The move is so good that you should just use it whenever you can. You can use forward 4-2 similarly as well, since it has good range and it's a safe, quick power mid with good pushback that can knock down splat. Since it's easier to do from wave dash than forward 4, forward 4-2 is more common at the wall. We'll talk more about crouch dash later, but don't forget too that Jin is a Mishima and has a standard crouch dash wave dash, so getting in quickly is not a problem. In fact, crouch dash 2 is just as good a deterrent, if not better, for opponents on approach than forward 4. In other words, Jin's options to control space are incredibly strong. So first, some clarifications. Back 1 is CDS, down 1+2 is Zen. Both give you access to the same set of moves, although I have been saying CDS for simplicity. Strictly speaking, when you transition from another move rather than doing the stance raw, you are going into Zen. While CDS takes a step back, the most important difference is that you can cancel CDS by tapping forward, whereas you have to commit to an action in Zen. You can't block in stance, so this matters. That being said, you can press down forward to go to a crouch dash and then press back to cancel the crouch dash into a block. This takes more time than being able to outright cancel the stance like you can with CDS, but it's useful against opponents challenging your transition since you can often recover quick enough to avoid any kind of punish. To return to forward 4, this crouch dash cancel allows you to block or low parry or retaliation if you don't feel like swinging yourself. Otherwise, CDS options are pretty straightforward. CDS 1 is a safe mid I-16 poke, which you can confirm into a second hit, CDS 1-2. CDS 1-2 is -14, so be careful just finishing it, but it can wall splat, so since CDS 1 is only -3 on block, sometimes it's worth it to remind them that it's there. CDS 1-3 is your safe alternative, but it's also a high. CDS 2 is your evasive option since he moves so quickly to the right side. That lateral movement also helps it go under highs. Just be careful because it is -14. CDS 1+2 is your fastest option at I-13. It's a high launcher, -13 on block, and although there's considerable pushback, it's a risky read option. Still, it can also be pretty scary if your opponent doesn't know how to deal with it. CDS 3 is a mid-homing counter hit launcher. It also tail spins, so you'll still get a decent reward if you catch a float. It's -9, so you do lose your turn on block, but it does just about everything else you could possibly want. On the flip side, CDS 3+4 is a jumping high kick that's plus on block, knockdown splat on hit. It has a big active window, so how much you get exactly will depend on your spacing. It does crush, but it does so late at frame 10, so don't expect that to be reliable. And since it's a high, if you crush a low that goes into a crouch, you're still going to whiff. CDS 4 is your only low, and unfortunately it's very slow at I-25 and thus reactable, which is not good since it gives a big block stun if blocked. Unlike CDS 3+4 though, CDS 4 crushes on frame 1, so it's much more reliable against people trying to challenge your CDS with quick highs. Sadly, you will not get a full launch if it hits, so the risk reward is not great. Instead, remember that you can go to crouch dash by simply pressing down forward, so rather than using CDS 4, you can simply go to crouch dash and run mix-ups there. Regardless, the common approach is to use most of your CDS options to punish button happy players when you go to it with advantage. Then when they start to play defense, either use CDS 3+4, crouch dash, or crouch dash cancel to put on more pressure. You can generally follow the same approach even when going to CDS or Zen at disadvantage. Just keep in mind that your non-evasive stance options will lose to your opponent's moves that are the same speed or faster. Like with all our Mishima guides, I'll state quickly first that this isn't a crouch dash wave dash tutorial. There are plenty of guides out there for that, but that just boils down to practice. In any case, like the other Mishimas, the cornerstone of crouch dash is crouch dash 2, or for Jin, what's called electric wind hook fist, an I-11 launcher that's +5 on block. So it serves as a check against dash-ins and buttons, and a pressure tool, particularly at the wall where the pushback is removed or limited. And if you're curious, the main differences between Jin's EWHF and a standard Mishima electric is that Jin's gives a tail spin rather than a full normal launch. Also, Jin's regular hook fist doesn't launch where normal God Fist does. Regardless, once you've settled them down with EWHF, you have a few options for mix-ups. Crouch Dash 4 or Hell Sweep is your primary low, a launcher but -31 on block. For mids, forward quarter circle forward 4 will give you a crouch dash, then while standing 4, your quickest and safest but also least rewarding mid option. Unlike the other Mishimas, Jin actually has a mid launch option directly from his crouch dash, which is crouch dash 1. As you would expect with such a tool, it's -13 on block, so be careful there. Doing crouch dash 3 will give you while standing 3, so a safe mid homing move that can launch on counter hit. But you can also gain access to any of your standing moves by simply pressing another direction, typically back or forward, and then doing a standing attack. For example, if you want another low, crouch dash forward down back 4 will get you to down back 4. The crouch dash input also buffers a forward for you, so another common option is to do crouch dash forward 3 to get forward forward 3, your safe mid launcher. Forward forward 3 is especially important here since it is roughly the same speed as crouch dash 4, so it works as a much better timing mix-up. This is also important because crouch dash 4 is considerably slower than your other pure crouch dash options. Otherwise, using this technique, all of your other strong neutral tools come into play too, like forward forward 2, forward forward 4, down forward 1, 2-1, and so on. Also, you can do his while standing 1-2 and while standing 2 from crouch dash with a more advanced technique, crouch dash neutral back neutral and then an attack button. While standing 2 is an I-14 launcher that's only -12, which is fantastic, and while standing 1-2 is a safe I-13 natural combo, so both are very good to have at your disposal. Lastly, note that any upward attacks can be done from crouch dash as well, like hop kick. Just be careful with this because Jin does have a jump from his crouch dash, so you have to tap forward to cancel the crouch dash first or simply wait a moment. Jin's parry is worth a quick mention because it's so strong. Unlike a normal reversal, Jin's parry does not affect the move being parried, rather he merely moves himself out of the way of the attack. Consequently, he can parry just about anything, so knees, elbows, etc. He has no built-in options from the parry, instead you just do whatever move you want to punish. Because he's not directly stopping the opponent's attack, your options will follow the same rules as if your opponent whiffed the move. For example, if you parry a jab, it will be very difficult to get any kind of punish, whereas if you parry something with slower recovery like a hop kick, then you should be able to get an easy launch from it. What makes his parry particularly strong is how fast it is. It's I2. Yes, that's right, it activates on frame 2. It's active until frame 8, and afterwards you auto block for several frames, as well as on frame 1. In other words, as soon as you input the parry, you'll either block or parry until roughly frame 18. After that, he's vulnerable for about a dozen frames, but generally speaking, being able to react to a whiffed parry and launch him for it inside of 30 frames is nearly impossible. I know that's a lot of technical talk, but the short of it is that it parries a lot of stuff, you can get a ton of reward from it, and it's hard to punish. Jin's normal grabs are mostly average, nothing special, not even Oki unless a wall is involved. However, Jin does have a command grab of each type, which is nice. Down forward 2+3 is his 2 break, -4 recovery, which isn't great, but they are left face down, feet toward, which is in your favor for initiating a mix-up. Quarter circle back 1+3, which can be buffered, is his 1 break. They're left too far away for an immediate mix-up, but the neutral recovery is in your favor, so you're in a good spot for a dash or running mix-up. Up forward 1+2 is his 1+2 break. This one is also neutral recovery, but now they're right at your feet, so prime positioning for a mix-up. He also has a secret version that'll add 2 damage if you want to get fancy. Up forward 1+2, slide, up back 3+4. Not too tough once you get the hang of it. You'll know that you got it if you hear him speak some extra words. As with all Mishimas, learn to do these smoothly from wave dash to add that extra element to your crouch dash game. This brings us to the end of part 2. Hopefully this discussion gets your creativity going and helps you get some wins. In part 3, we'll finish the guide off by going over quick referential items like combos and punishers, and then we'll end with a brief character summary. Watch for that here in the next couple of days. And with that, thank you for checking out this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe here on YouTube. Also be sure to turn on notifications if you'd like to get alerted as soon as a new vid is uploaded. I also try to stream whenever I can, so the link to Twitch is down in the video description below. You will find Twitter and Facebook links down there too. Lastly, special thanks to our 3 patrons, Tato, Apples, and Overhaul. That support means a lot. Patreon is definitely the best way to support your favorite content creators, and the more support the channel gets, the more content I can afford to do. Stay safe everyone, and we'll see you next time.